Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat Minnesota, has condemned the Trump administration's move to restructure the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, calling it a constitutional crisis and accusing the executive branch of overstepping its authority. In an interview with CBS News' Margaret Brennan, Omar argued that the administration is bypassing Congress's role in agency oversight and budget allocation.
You have spoken quite a bit this week about what USAID meant in your life, particularly when you were living in a refugee camp for 4 years. And USAID, you talked about helping to keep you alive. We know this week a federal judge will come to some kind of hearing and decision, perhaps, on what happens to all those government workers. Are the courts the main line of defense here?
Yeah, I mean, what we are witnessing is a constitutional crisis. We are seeing an executive branch that has decided that they are no longer going to abide by the Constitution in honoring Congress's role in the creation of the agencies, in their role in deciding where money is allocated. And so the only recourse we have, since our congressional leadership, the Speaker, will not stop the executive, is through the judiciary. And this is, when you think about the checks and balances that we have, the courts are the only recourse we have at the moment. And we have seen, and when we talk about the illegality of what the executive is doing, we have seen every single executive order that has been challenged in the courts was found to be illegal. And that, I think, should give faith to the American people that our courts are working as they should. The checks and balances are working. What is not working is the way that the executive is behaving and the congressional leadership that is failing the American people.
Well, some of these court cases are ongoing, so we'll have to see where they end up.
The ones that have already been adjudicated, every single executive order has been halted at the moment by an order.
Many of them Republican judges who also made that decision. Interesting judge.
We are seeing an executive branch that has decided that they are no longer going to abide by the Constitution, Omar said. The courts are the only recourse we have at the moment. She pointed to past judicial rulings that blocked Trump's executive orders as evidence that the system of checks and balances remains functional. However, critics have pushed back, arguing that Omar's claims are politically charged and exaggerated. Some contend that USAID's restructuring is part of broader efforts to cut wasteful spending and align foreign aid with America First policies rather than a constitutional violation. Others question whether Omar's personal history, having benefited from USAID aid while in a refugee camp, affects her objectivity on the issue. Legal experts note that ongoing court cases will ultimately determine the legality of the administration's actions, with some suggesting Omar's rhetoric overstates the situation. Meanwhile, internal Democratic Party strategists debate whether defending USAID is a politically effective issue, as some worry it could alienate working-class voters skeptical of large government agencies. The controversy highlights broader tensions over executive authority, congressional power, and the judiciary's role in maintaining constitutional balance.